Have you been struggling with how to organize your social media content? Do you have ideas stuck on post-it notes or in notebooks all over the place, making it hard to remember what you wanted to write about when you sit down to write content? Today, I want to share with you how I manage my social media content, specifically using two tools, Trello and Asana. So I'm going to chat with you for a moment why you might want to consider using a tool like Trello or Asana, how to capture and centralize all of those ideas you have, how I organize my post content and images, and creating a schedule for those posts and how I keep track of where I've shared those posts. So first, let's get started talking about why you might want to use a tool like Trello or Asana. To be honest, I'm fairly new to both tools. I've mostly been using Trello for my social media content. I'm in the process of moving over to Asana for a very specific reason, and I'll talk to you about that when I demo both of these for you. The reason I like using either of these tools and why I think they're both great options is it gives me the ability to visually see all of my posts. I have my images and the actual content, and I can see, sort of plan and keep track of where I'm posting them. They're both web-based tools, and they both have a free version. What I'm going to show you today and demo today is I'm on the free plans for both of them. So everything you see you can do without their paid plans. I also like that it's online tool, which means I can access it from anywhere. And they both have apps for iPhone and Android, which means I can get access to my content from my phone or my iPad anywhere I'm at. And I'll demo that really quickly at the end. I'm going to focus mostly on the actual web access to the tools, but I'm going to show you why it's so powerful to do that when you're on the go. So that's why I recommend you consider a tool like Trello or Asana. I'm a firm believer in trying to centralize all of your information into one place so that you can very easily find what you're looking for. Um, so I'm going to jump right in to do a demo of both of these tools for you. And again, I'll be sharing with you how I capture ideas, how you can organize your post content and images, and how to keep track of where you're sharing that information. Okay? So let's start with Trello. And if you've never seen Trello before, this is what they call a board. And I'm going to create a new board just so you can see what that process looks like. And it's as simple as choosing create board, and you're going to name it. So for purposes of this, let's just pretend I'm going to call this my social media post. Now, when you create a board, it's blank. You can change the background colors. If you want an image, you have to upgrade to the paid plan. But I'll share with you a trick for how I got some of the images that you'll see on some of my boards today. I generally like just to use a gray background, and that's because that way my images sort of pop and I see the color of my images, but you can choose whatever color you want. So once you have a board, the concept is you can create lists of content and information. Now on this board, I might have one list of ideas, and then maybe I have a list that is my introduction series, right? For a lot of you, you just completed the Impactful Introduction Challenge with me. I've got an upcoming introduction series workshop for creating your introductory series of posts. However you want to organize your information, you can create multiple lists. Within a list, you add cards. Now, I like to think of Trello, and you're going to see this with Asana as well. It's sort of like seeing this post-it note style because I'm going to be able to move things around. So let's say I have an idea that I want to talk about um, creating creating an impactful introduction. Okay, so I have a topic that's an idea. Whenever I have that idea, I may temporarily write it in a notebook or put it on a post-it note, but ultimately everything's going to come into Trello for me to organize that content. Now, this is what they call a card. And if I click on it and open it, you can see that there's a lot of information that I can have about it. I can enter a general description, and this is where I would put my initial thoughts. Maybe I would bullet point out what I want my content to be. So I'm going to tell myself, talk about the formula for an intro, talk about where to share it, and including a selfie and fun facts. Okay, so while I'm dropping this into my idea phase or on the idea list, I can just keep random notes about that. And just quickly to orient you to the rest of what you see here in a card, I can add comments, which if I do that, you'll see that they just continue to add to the history of this card. Here's another thought I have. I can continue, you see them sort of come down here in the history. Now, if you work with a team and a VA or a social media manager, you could add them specifically to the card. You could add them to this entire board so they can contribute to the board, make edits, move things along. You know, whoever you want to collaborate on your boards, which is really great when you're a distributed team, again, because it's a web-based tool, everyone can access it. You can choose to color code your cards. Maybe each label it means something different. So for me, if I wanted to create posts for Roar, maybe every time I create something, I want to know if it's helping me promote being relatable. Is it helping me promote being one of a kind? Is it something that is focusing on being actionable? Or maybe it's something that's focused on being reliable. Now, as I create my cards, I can tag them with these labels, and you'll notice over here that my color coding shows up on my card, right? I can also create checklists, and I'm going to come back to this and show you how I use that. But basically, you can create any checklist. Maybe it's different steps that you want to follow. I use this for groups that I want to share my post in. In fact, why don't I just go ahead and do that now? So let's say I want to keep track of all the Facebook groups where I would share this content. Now, what I do, you can manually type them in. I have a list of some of the Facebook groups that I'm in. I keep them in a spreadsheet. I can just copy them out, paste it in, and when I click add, it adds those all as individual checklist items for me. And as I share this post in different groups, I can check it off and it keeps track. So we're going to come back to this in a minute. I can set myself a due date, and this is for the post in general. It's not at the Facebook group level. And that's one thing that makes it a little bit more difficult for me to use Trello and how do I schedule the post out, but I'll talk about that separately here in a minute. The cool thing is you can also add any attachments, and that includes any images. So let's say I've got my impactful introduction main image that I've created, and whatever tools you use, Canva is a great tool. But whenever you get to your image, you can upload it and attach it to this card. Notice over here in the background that I can see now my images. You're going to see how great this looks when you start getting all your social media posts all centralized in one place. I'm going to skip some of these actions because I just really want to focus on showing you how I use it, and you'll see some of these actions as I use them, okay? So look, keep creating your ideas. Idea number 2 that you have come up. Oops. And idea number 3. So I can keep all of these ideas all in one place. Now, some people might use their Trello cards to organize by topic, or you might organize them by phase. Like these are content is written or needs content maybe, and then it's needs image, and then ready to share. So that's one way you might organize your posts as you go. Here's the really cool thing. So here's the idea that I have, and now it's ready for content. I just move it and slide it over, and now it's in the needs content bucket. And my content's written, and now it's ready for an image. In this example, obviously, I have the image already there, but you get the idea that it can sort of follow in this workflow. And now, once all the content's written and I've got my image, it's ready to share. And then this would be sort of my posts that are done, ready, and that I can start sharing on my own pages and in other groups. Now, the cool thing is, it tracked all that history. It showed me when I moved it from one to another of the lists. So, again, if you've got people helping you with your social media and they're doing that activity, you see the full history of all of that. Now, for me right now, I'm mostly doing all of my own content. So that doesn't necessarily appeal to me, but in the future, that's going to be something that I think is really helpful. So let me just show you, I mean, that's just a really quick demo of how to like really use the tool. But let me show you what some of my boards look like. Okay, so I have a lot of boards because I organize mine a little bit differently. I have a board specifically to capture post ideas and inspiration. So I've got some, I took a screenshot of the labels that I have in this board so that I can identify the kinds of posts that I want to create. I want posts that are fun. I might have specific themes, posts that share my expertise, um, that dig into the dream or pain of my ideal client. Maybe they're numbered tips, they show relatability, or they're meant to educate and entertain at the same time. And I don't always tag them, but I have this here as my cheat sheet so that I can see for those things where I did label them, I can quickly identify them. And I happen to be organizing my ideas. I try and plop them onto one of these boards. I have mindset or mantra related posts. I've started a series on messaging mindset. So there's, some posts, I've got some ideas around that on. I have a photo that I took of a fortune cookie that I got. That prompted an idea in my mind for a post. So throw the picture in there, add some thoughts. When I'm ready to sit down and write that, I've got all that in one place. I've got some ideas for things that might make me more relatable. You'll see that because part of my message is make your message roar, and roar means being relatable, one of a kind, actionable, and reliable. I've got lists that help me keep in mind that I want posts that sort of expand on each of those four areas of my message, right? I have a specific list I'm starting for additional ideas around messaging mindset. I wrote an art and shared a post on why I didn't do a Black Friday sale, and this is one way to start thinking about repurposing your content. So whether you send out a newsletter or you write a blog post, and sometimes those are beefier and have a lot of great information, how could you break apart that one thing into multiple posts? So these happen to be some of the reasons why I did not do a Black Friday sale, and I could turn each one of those points into a post. And we'll talk another day about the concept of repurposing and planning your content, one piece of content and how you can use it in a whole bunch of ways. But this is just an example where I created a list and I just dropped all the ideas in here. And when I'm ready, I can turn those into a series of posts. So you can see I've got ideas for, all elements of Roar. I'm working on starting a series of videos for my YouTube channel that will be Message in a Minute. So sharing topics that I can cover in 1-minute videos. So I've started just sort of brain dumping any ideas that have come to mind. Like I know I want to have one that's some number of ways to be more relatable. How many tips can I fit in a 1-minute video? How many tips can I fit into a 1-minute video for ways to be one of a kind? What does it mean to make your message roar? How to use thesaurus.com. So all my little tips, I'm going to break out into 1-minute videos. And so I'm starting to collect those. Quotes that I've come across that I think would make interesting post topics. I capture, who the quote is from, and if I have any thoughts about it, I would put that in here. Let's see if I, so here's how you know if you've got notes. It's got these little lines here. So I read Anna Kendrick's book, and she had this quote on imposter syndrome. So I've got that in here. And if I had additional thoughts of like, what do I want to say about that? I could add those. And when I'm ready to move this, finalize this into a post, then I could do that. So this is one board specifically just for capturing ideas. Some of them have additional thoughts in them, some of them don't. But any thoughts I have, my goal is to get them all here. And again, that might mean that I've used my notebooks that I have everywhere or a post-it note. Capture the idea whenever you have it. Ultimately, though, get in the habit of centralizing them all here into one place. So when I'm ready to convert one of these into an actual post, I'll write the content and I will create my images and get it ready to go. But what I would do is I would move it out of this ideas board and onto my posts that are completed board. And I'm just going to use this one as an example so you can see me move it. And I talked about these actions I skipped before. In order to move it between lists on the same board, you saw that you can just drag and drop it around. But I can now actually move this to an entirely different board. And you see I've got a lot of boards here, but I have one called shared posts. Now for me, that's the one that's posts that are done and I'm actively sharing them. And I have a lot of lists there too. But I'm going to pretend for a moment that this is going in my intro series. And position 7 means I've got 6 other cards already in there. I'm going to default it to the end. I typically just do that. If I want to reorder stuff, I'm going to do it once I'm over on that board. Okay, so let's move this over to my shared post board, and let's jump over and take a look at that. Now, this is not every social media post I've ever had, although it's most of them, because I didn't use Trello right away. So I'm still in the process of moving stuff over from of capturing them if I hadn't shared them or centralized them anywhere. But look at what this gives you. One, you start to see consistent look and feel of my images, and you'll develop that for yourself, right? That is part of your brand, how it visually is represented. And that came for me after the development of my messaging, of course. But you start to see all my posts. So I'll just share with you how I'm currently organizing it. I have various introductions. So this is my introduction with fun facts that I can copy and paste when I'm introducing myself in a new group. And I've got a little note to remind myself to do a group specific thank you. I typically thank the host for welcoming me into the group before I introduce myself. I've got 2 different selfies that I might use when I share that. And here's groups that I've been sharing that in. So you saw as how I created this, right? I have a list of groups that I'm active in or am a member of that I've been focusing on getting visibility in and keeping track of where and when I post them. Other things that you'll see, anytime that you have content that you want to use repeatedly, you guys see me create those welcome posts when people are joining the messaging den. This is the post. I have this template so I can copy and paste it out. I'm not having to rewrite that every time. And the images that I rotate, right? The different colors within my own brand. Now, when I'm actually ready to post that, if I don't already have these images saved off to my computer, all you have to do is download it straight out of Trello. This is going to save to wherever you default your downloads to. Typically, it's a downloads folder. But now I've got that image on my computer. I could open up a group, upload that image from my downloads, copy and paste in my content, and away you go. And again, I can be keeping track of that, and I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. But let's look for that image or that post that I just moved over. So Here's one if I were adding that to the end of my intro series, because here's my introductory series. I have currently 6 posts in that. It's going to get longer as I keep building sort of the standard posts I want to share every time I'm new in a group. But now that post is here, it shows up with all the rest of them. I can drag and drop them around either in order or into a different list. Some of the other lists that I keep, I've got that messaging mindset theme or series. So anytime that you have like a particular topic that you want to keep things organized in, that's a great candidate to be a list. As I create different quotes and images for those quotes, I have a column or a list that tracks that. When I'm promoting different things, my daily themes for within the Facebook group, tips that I share, these don't always come with images because in some groups I'm in, even like the messaging den, there's a daily or once a week, there's a post like, hey, share your favorite tip. So maybe I, create those, and these are normally just words because they're comments within, a thread in Facebook. So I don't always include an image with those. But here's one of my very favorite ones, responses to questions. Anytime that you answer a question, especially for your ideal client, whether that's in your own group, on your Facebook page, or as you're engaging in other groups, grab those responses. Grab the question, grab the response, and that's ready to be a post as well, especially if it's a question that you get asked frequently. Write that once, and now you have it to share anytime that question comes up and you want to help somebody out. You could, in turn, make this an entire series of posts if you wanted. But get in the habit of organizing all your content in one place. And it's just amazing when you go to sit down and write, some new content. You go over and you hit up your ideas and inspiration and things you want to talk about, pick a couple of them, and away you go. Now, the one area with Trello that is my least favorite in terms of using it for keeping track of my posts that I've shared is I've showed you that you can create these checklists to keep track of which groups you're promoting in or you're sharing the content in. What it doesn't do such a great job of is letting me plan that out in advance. So for example, I've got this introduction series, and every time I join a new group or I'm reintroducing myself to a group, I want to share all of these posts, but I want them to be sort of spaced out. I do them once a day. And I might be engaging in multiple groups at the same time. I don't always want to have the same post hitting multiple groups at the same time. It sort of clutters up in the Facebook feed and people will see it multiple times. Now, recently, I've started to see that even if you span across multiple days, Facebook is clumping them together. And so it looks like you're spamming out across groups, which you're not, because you're going to be adding value and sharing valuable information. But so I'm still trying to figure out how to minimize it looking kind of clumped up in the Facebook timeline. So when I've been using Trello, up until now, I've been using Trello to organize my content. I've actually been keeping track of where I post it manually with a spreadsheet. And I'm happy to share this spreadsheet with you. I mean, it's nothing fancy. Really, you see the list of groups that I want to be engaging in. And this list is too long. Part of my focus in 2017 is intention. And I want to get intentional in engaging in fewer groups. But I wanted to share this with you to give you an idea that whenever I go to share a particular post, and let me go back and look at an older list. I want to share my intro series of posts. I want to stagger it across time of day and day of week. So you'll notice that when I share the post, is your message reliable in this group, I share it again in this next group, but not until the next day. And it shows up in the on a different day for this group, and it shows up in a different day for other groups. Here it is. Different days, different times. So I'm planning, do I want it to go in the morning, afternoon, or evening, and which groups on which days are going to get it. That way I can plan that out, let's say a week or a month or more in advance. And every day I just look at, all right, it's Monday morning. What posts am I sharing where? Monday afternoon, what posts am I sharing where? And Monday evening. So it's very manual. And I got to tell you, I don't love it. In fact, I don't love it so much that I haven't been using this. And I've kind of been winging the how often or where I post the groups, where I post into various groups. And that hasn't felt so great. And that's the number one reason why I'm considering shifting to Asana. And I'm going to very briefly demo Asana to you, and because it's very similar. This is actually brand new to Asana. I'll do another video someday on how I use Asana for project management because that's the primary way I use that tool. But Asana just recently came out with the concept of boards and cards as well. And it works very similarly, right? I can create multiple columns, which, could be different themes. So look, I'm moving my intro series over as I've got question posts that I'm answering. I can put those in here, things that are just helping me with visibility. I'm just now in the process of moving things over to Asana. But since you saw my intro series over in Trello, let's take a look at how that is similar here in Asana. So I have the same ability to have my content in there, right? I can attach files. So we've got the ability to add attachments, which shows up here. And again, I can download that to my computer so that if I, don't have it saved locally, I've got it. All of the same functionality. Um, the one thing that Asana edges out for me is Asana calls it subtasks, or that's really what I'm leveraging. Instead of a checklist of all the groups I'm posting in, I put the groups in as subtasks to this post. And here's where the magic happens for me in Asana is now I can assign a date at the subtask level. So let's say I want to post this post in this particular group next Monday. And then this post is going to go on Tuesday into this group and on Wednesday into this group. And I just go down the list, right? And I assign a date for each group for this post. This is ensuring that I'm spreading it out and I'm not overlapping too much. So I actually can do that here at the post level. And then when I go and look at my calendar, and I'll jump ahead because here it's showing up right on my calendar for me that my Is Your Message One of a Kind post, I want to post in this group on Monday. There's that post, it's going in this group Tuesday, this group Wednesday, this group Thursday. This is eliminating the need for me to keep track with that Excel spreadsheet. Now, again, this is very new in Asana that they even have it, and I've been loving using Trello. So if it's not important to you to track it at this level, you may prefer Trello. I recommend trying both of them out. They're both free accounts. I'll include links. They're my affiliate links, but since it doesn't cost you anything to use either of these, I just get credit for sharing. So it's not like it's costing you anything, but I will share my affiliate links with you so that I just get credit that I shared with you and you created an account, even though it's free and costs you nothing. And I recommend that you just try each of them out. You create new boards in Asana very similarly to Trello. Asana calls it projects, though, because again, Asana is primarily used as a project management tool, or at least that's how I use it. But let me just show you how you create a new project in Asana so that you can test this out. So maybe this is my social media ideas, and I'm creating it, and this is all within my company name. I'm the only person that uses my Carrie Price Consulting Asana account. This is the new thing, is that you can create a board, and that's what makes it this kind of post-it note looking style. that's very similar to Trello. And when you create a new project, they've got both tools have tutorials and helpful things, but you just get right started adding your new columns. So maybe this is your ideas. Maybe you want to start simple and you create ideas, and then you've got the ready for content, ready for image, ready to post, right? You could just start as simple as that and drop all of your ideas in here, creating new cards just like you would in Trello. So maybe this is I want my introduction series. We're going to just call this post number 1, right? And then I've got post number 2, right? You create them very much the same way. You open them up to get to that detail. This is where I put my content ideas in here while it's still in that idea phase. And that's where I would, beef it up. I would add my images just like I can do in Trello, right? So maybe this is promoting that impactful introduction. This is where I add my subtasks. So you can copy and paste them all in. I had that copied in from my spreadsheet before, or you can manually add them. So you can say, oh, here's a new group that I want to post in. Oh, and here's another group that I know I want to post in. And you're keeping track of that as you go. Okay, so they both work very similar in that way. Again, the thing that's sort of edging out for me right now with Asana is the ability to schedule my posts by group and see that on my calendar and be able to work from that calendar. So that's a little bit about, sort of how I use both of those tools. I'm going to now shift from using my computer and show you why I think these tools are extra powerful when you have access to all of this from your phone or your iPad or any place that you can get to a browser, and how easy it is to share.
Okay, for purposes of this demo, I am using my iPad, but the same applies on your phone. Again, both Asana and Trello have iPhone and iPad and Android versions of their app. But here's the cool thing. So if I'm sitting on my couch watching TV and checking, which I don't do very often, and checking my Facebook feed, or I'm on the road, on the go, and I see an opportunity to share some information. This is really common, like for those tips I shared, or, you see a prompt in a group like, hey, it's promo day. Oh, wait, yeah, I've got that promo that I'm, wanting to share, and I don't have to run to my computer to get it. I can get access to all of my content right within the app, right on my iPad. So, for example, let's say that I see an opportunity to share the Impactful Introduction Challenge. And, I actually have a separate board for that to grab that post. But all I need to do is go to that board where I've got all of my impactful introduction posts. Here's my Facebook announcement post. Just touch that. Now, this image is not yet on my iPad, so I can't share it, but I tap on it to open it up. And I save that to my local computer or to the local device. In this case, for the iPad, I just tell it to save image. When you're on your phone, you see the similar prompts. Then I go into the post and I select all, I copy, and now I'm ready to post that into any Facebook group. I've got the image on my device and I've got the content and I am ready to go. And the same thing on the Asana app. So if I go into the Asana app and let's go into my Facebook posts. I don't think that's, yeah, there it is. Okay. Oh, look, I have an opportunity to share my introduce myself into a new group that I was just invited to. I'm going to, this is the one downfall. Okay, so I have to select the area. Asana works a little bit differently, but I select all of the content and copy. and I look for the image I want to use. So this is the image that I want to use. So I bring that up, and again, I save that image. Yep, I'm going to give Asana permission to access my photos. And now when I go to share, I'm just going to go and pretend like I'm writing a post, but this could be anywhere, in any group that you are in, any opportunity. I create a new post. Look, those two images that I just saved locally are there. So I select the image that I want, and then I just go in and paste all that content. And I can preview it. Oh, why didn't it show up? Did I not copy it? Let's see. Let's go back and grab that content. Did I not copy it? I will tell you that selecting out of, so the pros and cons, selecting out of Trello is a little bit easier than selecting out of Asana. Pros and cons, pros and cons. See, I feel like the content is there. Let's cancel. Let's discard that. Let's try again. Let's just try writing the post first. Paste. Okay, there's the content. Then you add the picture, right? Choose a photo. And look, now the post is ready to go. So how awesome is that? I have access. I'm not really going to post that. I have access to all of my content, either Trello or Asana, and that includes my idea boards. So if I happen to have an idea, I could just jump right in and create that right from here if I, rather than on my Post-it notes. So maybe I just have a new idea and I was like, ooh, I want to talk about this. All right, well, I'm going to go add that idea card, add it, and now it's in there. I have access to it on my computer the next time that I want to sit down and write content. Pretty cool, right? Hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, post them below and I will be happy to answer those for you.